Today, I'm so happy you're here because this video is not just another English lesson. This one is a full, step-by-step guide that will completely change the way you learn English and help you prepare for IELTS listening in a smart, simple, and fun way. So, if you've ever felt confused about how to start, where to practice, or why your English is not improving even after trying for months, stay with me because by the end of this lesson, you'll have a clear, easy plan to follow. Now, let's start by talking honestly. Most English learners feel stuck not because they are lazy or not talented, but because they don't have the right method. They study random things, maybe a few words from YouTube, a little grammar from a book, or a listening test from somewhere, but it's not connected. Imagine you're building a house, but every day you start building a new wall without finishing the foundation. That's how many learners study English. They jump from one thing to another and then feel like they're not improving. So, today we'll fix that. The first thing I want you to remember is this. Learning English is not about studying more. It's about studying smart. You don't need to memorize hundreds of words every day or listen to hours of audio you don't understand. You just need a small amount of focused, active practice. When I say active, I mean you should do something with a language. Repeat, answer, predict, and think, not just sit and listen passively. Let's talk about how your brain learns English. Your brain loves patterns and repetition. If you hear a word many times in different situations, it starts to stick automatically. So instead of memorizing from a list, you should learn from real examples, short dialogues, daily conversations, and listening exercises. For example, if you're listening to a small IELTS audio about a hotel booking, pay attention to how they use polite expressions like, "I'd like to reserve a room," or "Could you please tell me the price?" Write them down and then say them aloud several times. This one small habit can change your listening and speaking speed dramatically. Now, let's talk about something very important. Why listening is the foundation of all English skills. When you listen correctly, your brain automatically improves your pronunciation, vocabulary, and even grammar. Think about how babies learn their first language. They don't start by reading or writing. They listen and listen and listen. Then suddenly they start to speak. You can do the same with English. Every time you listen, your brain is learning the rhythm, the tone, the pauses, and the natural sound of English. But the problem is most learners listen without understanding. They just press play and hope something will happen. That's not how it works. You need to follow 3 simple steps. Listen, notice, repeat. First, listen to the audio once to understand the main idea. Don't worry if you miss words. Second, listen again, but this time notice the details, the accent, the pronunciation, and how words connect. Third, repeat what you hear. I always tell my students, don't just be a listener, be an echo. When you repeat like an echo, you train your mouth and brain to work together. Now, let's connect this to the IELTS listening test. Many students think the IELTS listening is difficult because of the accent or speed. But the truth is, it's not about accent. It's about attention. IELTS listening is a game of focus. You only need to hear the keyword at the right moment. The exam will try to confuse you with extra information, but if your ears are trained to catch key details, you'll win. For example, in a section where a man says, "The meeting was originally planned for Friday, but we moved it to Thursday," many students write Friday.
Why?
Because they heard it first. But the real answer is Thursday. That's why you must train your ear to catch corrections and changes. Now you may ask, Jenny, how can I train my listening? Great question. The best way is to listen to short, clear English every day. I don't mean full movies or news at first. Start with 5 to 10-minute clips. Choose something interesting, maybe a story, a podcast, or even my lessons here on English Lab. The key is consistency. 10 minutes every day is better than 1 hour once a week. When you listen every day, your ear becomes sensitive to English sounds. You start recognizing words without trying. That's the magic moment when you realize, wow, I understood that sentence. Another mistake many learners make is trying to translate everything into their own language. Don't do that. It slows your brain. Try to think in English. If you hear the word apple, picture the fruit, not your native word. The faster your brain connects English directly to meaning, the more natural your listening will become. I also want to talk about something we don't often discuss, motivation. Many learners start strong, but after a few weeks, they feel tired or bored. Maybe they feel they're not improving, or maybe they compare themselves to others. Please don't do that. Everyone's English journey is different. The most important thing is not speed, but direction. As long as you keep moving forward, you're doing great. Progress in English is like growing a plant. You can't see it every day, but it's growing. You just have to water it with daily practice. So how can you stay motivated? The secret is to make English part of your life. Don't treat it as homework. Treat it as a lifestyle. Watch your favorite shows in English, listen to music, follow English-speaking YouTubers. Talk to yourself in English while cooking or cleaning. Yes, talk to yourself. Say things like, okay, now I'm making tea, or I'm going to check my phone. This simple habit builds automatic fluency. You don't need a partner to practice. You can be your own best teacher. Now, I want to share a small technique that works wonders: shadowing. This means listening to a short English audio and repeating exactly at the same time as the speaker, matching their speed, tone, and pronunciation. It feels difficult at first, but it's super powerful. Try it for just 5 minutes a day. You'll start to sound more natural and fluent very quickly. Many IELTS top scorers use this trick to train their ears and mouths together. Let's also talk about mistakes, because they're not your enemy. In fact, mistakes are proof that you're learning. When you make a mistake, it means you're trying something new. The only people who don't make mistakes are the ones who don't try at all. So, next time you mishear something in a listening test, don't feel bad. Note it down, understand why it happened, and move on. Every mistake is a small step closer to fluency. If you ever feel lost about where to start your English learning, I want you to remember this simple formula. Input plus practice plus consistency equals success. Input means listening and reading English. Practice means speaking and writing. Consistency means doing it every day, even just a little. If you follow this formula, you can't fail. Now, let's think about the bigger picture, your IELTS journey. The IELTS test is not just an exam, it's a reflection of your communication ability. It checks how well you understand and use real-life English. So, instead of only preparing for the test, prepare for real situations. When you train for the listening test, imagine you're listening to someone at work, or in a hotel, or during a meeting. That mindset will help you naturally understand different contexts and answer questions faster. Another key area is familiarity with accents. IELTS uses different accents: British, Australian, American, Canadian. Don't be scared. You don't need to understand every accent perfectly. Just train your ear with a mix of them. Watch short videos from different countries. You'll start noticing small differences, like how British people might say schedule as schedule and Americans say schedule. Both are correct. Your job is to recognize, not to copy. All right, before we close this part, I wanted to take one small action today. Go find one English audio, maybe a conversation or podcast. Listen to it 3 times. First time, just listen. Second time, write down what you hear. Third time, repeat it aloud. That's your mini assignment for me, Jenny. You'll be amazed how fast your brain adapts. And finally, always remember this. You're not just learning a language, you're building a new version of yourself. Every new word you learn, every sentence you understand, brings you closer to confidence, opportunities, and a better future. I've seen thousands of students grow from shy beginners to confident speakers, and you can too. We're going to go deeper. We'll talk about how to actually train your ears, understand IELTS listening sections, and use smart strategies that help you answer questions quickly and accurately. So, grab your notebook, sit comfortably, and let's make your listening stronger than ever. Let's start with something simple, your daily listening routine. A good routine is like brushing your teeth. Small, regular, and automatic. You don't have to think about it, you just do it. The same goes for English listening. Many learners say, "Jenny, I don't have time." But you don't need a lot of time. You just need to make use of the time you already have. For example, if you travel by bus, train, or even walk to work or school, that's your listening time. Play short English audios or podcasts. If you're cooking or cleaning, play an English video in the background. Your brain absorbs more than you realize. Listening doesn't always have to be a classroom activity. It can be part of your daily life. Now, let's understand the IELTS listening test structure because knowing the pattern helps you prepare smartly. The IELTS listening test has 4 sections. Each section gets a little more difficult. You'll hear conversations, monologues, and discussions. The first section is usually about everyday situations, like booking a hotel or ordering something. The second section might be about general topics, like a talk about city facilities or a museum tour. The third one is academic, maybe a discussion between students or a tutor. And the last one is usually a lecture or talk about a more complex subject. You'll have 40 questions in total, and you only hear the audio once. That's why training your focus is key. Now, here's what most learners do wrong. They practice listening tests like it's a memory game. They listen, check answers, and then forget it. That's not real practice. Real practice means using each test to improve your overall listening skill, not just your score. So, after you finish one IELTS practice test, don't move to the next immediately. Take time to review. Listen again, and this time, focus on what you missed. Did you miss numbers, names, directions, or small connecting words like but, and, however? Those small words often change the meaning of the sentence. When you start noticing them, your accuracy improves a lot. Another powerful technique I teach my students is called focused re-listening. It works like this. You listen to a recording once and answer questions. Then, instead of checking answers right away, listen again, not for answers but for understanding. Try to follow every sentence. Pause and repeat any part you didn't understand. Once you can understand the whole passage without reading the transcript, That's when you check your answers. This method helps your brain build real comprehension, not just guessing skills. Let's also talk about prediction because IELTS listening is not only about hearing, it's about thinking ahead. Before each section, you'll have time to read the questions. Use that time wisely. Look at the question types. Are they about numbers, names, or directions? That gives you clues about what to listen for. For example, if the question says, the cost of the ticket is underscore, 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 you already know you need to listen for a number or price. Your brain will stay alert for that kind of information. This small trick can make a huge difference in your score. Now, another important thing, don't panic if you miss one answer. Many students hear one question, miss it, and then lose focus completely. Remember, the recording continues. If you panic, you'll miss the next few answers too. So, if you miss one, take a deep breath and quickly move on. Stay calm. You can always review later. IELTS is not testing perfection. It's testing your ability to stay calm and focused under real-life listening conditions. Let's talk about accents and speed, because many learners feel scared when they hear native speakers talking fast. But here's the secret. They're not really talking faster. It's just that their words are connected. For example, they say going to as gonna or want to as wanna. So, when you hear I'm gonna go now, it might sound like one long word. The best way to get used to this is by listening to real English conversations, not just textbook audio. Watch interviews, podcasts, or vlogs. You'll start recognizing how real English sounds. Over time, your brain will automatically separate the words and understand the rhythm. Now, let's focus on note-taking during listening. In IELTS, you have to listen and write at the same time. That can be stressful, but it becomes easier with practice. You don't need to write full sentences, just keywords. For example, if the audio says, the library will be closed on Friday morning but open on Saturday afternoon, you can write, Friday closed, Sat open p.m. That's enough. After listening, you can write the complete answer clearly. The goal is to catch meaning quickly, not write every word. Let's move to another important topic, distractors. IELTS loves to trick you with distractors. A distractor is when the speaker gives one piece of information and then changes it. For example, the flight was scheduled for 6 p.m. No, sorry, it's actually 7 p.m. If you're not careful, you might write 6 p.m. To avoid this, train your ears to notice correction words like actually, no, but, or sorry. These words signal that the real answer comes after them. Now, let's talk about how to train for all these things at home, even if you don't have a teacher. The internet is full of free resources: YouTube, BBC Learning English, podcasts, even movies with subtitles. Choose one audio each day and practice actively. Listen, pause, repeat, write down new phrases, and check your pronunciation. If you find a word you don't understand, don't just look up the meaning. Listen to how it's used in sentences. Words live in context, not isolation. For example, the word run can mean many things. Run fast, run a business, run late. Listening helps you learn these meanings naturally. Another key skill for IELTS listening is multitasking. You have to read, listen, and write at the same time. That sounds hard, but you can train your brain to handle it. Start by practicing with short exercises. For example, play a short audio and write down keywords while you listen. At first, you'll miss a lot, but slowly, your ear-hand coordination will improve. You'll be able to write and listen simultaneously without losing focus. Now, let's talk about one of my favorite listening exercises, dictation. Dictation means writing exactly what you hear. Choose a short audio, maybe 1 minute long. Play it and write down everything. Pause, replay, and check. This exercise forces your ears to catch every small detail, every S, ed, and the. Over time, your listening becomes super sharp. And of course, let's not forget about vocabulary. Your listening will only improve if you understand the words you hear. So, make a habit of building your vocabulary through listening, not reading. When you hear a new word, write it down with the sentence. For example, if you hear, "He was reluctant to speak," write it exactly like that, not just the word reluctant. That helps you remember how it's actually used. Then say it aloud a few times. Your ear and tongue must work together. Now, let's discuss why practice without pressure is powerful. When you practice listening only for fun, not for an exam, your brain relaxes and learns faster. So sometimes just listen to something interesting, maybe your favorite celebrity interview, a documentary, or a song. Try to catch words, sing along, or repeat lines. This kind of joyful learning keeps you motivated and improves your real-world listening skills. I also want to remind you, don't chase perfection. You don't need to understand 100% of everything you hear. Even native speakers don't catch every single word. Focus on the main idea first. Over time, the small details will come naturally. Another thing that helps is listening in chunks, not words. English is spoken in phrases, not individual words. For example, native speakers don't say, "How are you?" They say it together. "How are you?" So when you practice, try to listen and repeat whole phrases. This will help your speaking too, because you'll start to sound more natural. Let's now look at how to prepare your ear for different question types in IELTS. There are multiple choice questions, form completion, labeling maps or diagrams, and sentence completion. Each type tests a slightly different skill. For multiple choice, you need to identify synonyms, because the exact word from the question might not appear in the audio. For example, the question says he was happy about the results, but in the audio, they say he was pleased with how it turned out. So you must train your brain to recognize similar meanings, not just exact words. For form completion, the key is to listen carefully to spelling and numbers. Practice listening to phone numbers, addresses, and dates. British and American accents say numbers differently, so get used to both. For example, Americans say 0, while British people often say not. Small details like that can help you catch answers correctly. For map labeling, you need to visualize directions. Practice with real maps. Listen to audio directions like, "Turn left at the bank, then go straight to the park." Close your eyes and imagine the route. This trains your mind to connect sound with space, which is very useful for Section 2 of IELTS. And for sentence completion, focus on grammar clues. If the sentence says the weather was very underscore, you know the answer is likely an adjective. That gives your brain a quick hint of what to expect while listening. Now, as you practice all these techniques, remember the golden rule. Review is more important than doing new tests. If you take one practice test and review it deeply, listening multiple times, understanding your mistakes, writing down new vocabulary, you'll learn more than doing 5 tests quickly without reflection. Depth is better than speed. And finally, let's talk about confidence. Confidence doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from practice. Every minute you spend listening, repeating, shadowing, or predicting brings you one step closer to your goal. So, don't wait for the perfect time. Start today. Even if you understand just 50% of what you hear, that's okay. Next week it'll be 60%, then 70%, and soon you'll surprise yourself. We're going to take a big step forward. Because listening alone isn't enough. To truly master English, you need to connect listening, speaking, and thinking together, like 3 friends working as one team. When these 3 work together, your English grows faster than you ever imagined. So today, I'll guide you through how to think in English, speak naturally, and use listening as your foundation for fluency. Let's start by understanding the biggest mistake most learners make. They listen in English, translate into their language, think of a reply in their language, and then try to translate it back to English before speaking. That's a very long process, and that's why many people say, "I can understand English, but I can't speak fast." The reason isn't vocabulary or grammar, it's because your brain is doing too much translation. So, the first step to fluency is breaking that translation habit. You must start thinking in English directly. How can you do that? Don't worry, I'll show you simple ways that really work. Start small. Begin with short English thoughts about your daily life. When you wake up, instead of thinking, "I have to brush my teeth" in your native language, say it in English inside your head. "I'm going to brush my teeth." While you're cooking, think, "I need to cut these vegetables." When you walk outside, think, "It's a beautiful day." This habit might sound too simple, but it's extremely powerful. The more you practice small daily thoughts in English, the more your brain starts building English as a natural language. That's how you stop translating and start thinking directly. Now let's connect this with listening. When you listen actively, you're not just hearing words, you're learning how English speakers think. English has a rhythm and flow that's different from many languages. For example, in English, we often put the important word near the end of the sentence for emphasis. Listen to this. "I didn't say he stole the money." Depending on which word we stress, the meaning changes completely. That's why listening carefully to tone and rhythm helps you understand meaning, not just vocabulary. When you learn to catch these small differences, your speaking automatically becomes more expressive and natural. Now, let's move on to speaking. Many learners tell me, "Jenny, I can't practice speaking because I don't have a partner." But that's not true. You can practice speaking anytime, even alone. In fact, self-practice is one of the most effective ways to improve. You can do shadowing, repeating after an audio, self-talk, speaking your thoughts aloud, and recording practice, listening to your own voice and improving pronunciation. Let's go through these one by one. First, shadowing. You've probably heard me mention it before, but now let's understand how to use it effectively. Choose a short clip, maybe 1 minute long. It could be from a movie, podcast, or IELTS audio. Listen once to understand, then play it again and speak along with the speaker, matching their tone and speed. Don't worry about being perfect. The goal is to get your mouth moving in rhythm with English. When you shadow daily, you train your tongue, lips, and ears together. This is the secret to sounding fluent and confident. Next, self-talk. This one is fun because you can do it anytime. Just talk to yourself in English. Describe what you're doing, what you see, what you feel, or what you plan to do. For example, say, "Okay, I'm going to make some coffee. I need sugar. Wait, where did I keep the spoon?" When you speak to yourself like this, your brain stops treating English as a school subject and starts treating it as a living language. And the best part? You don't need anyone else, just you and your voice. Now, recording practice. This one might feel strange at first, but it's one of the most effective habits. Record yourself speaking about any topic for 1 or 2 minutes. Then listen to it carefully. Don't judge yourself harshly. Just notice. Do you sound clear? Are your sentences smooth or broken? Compare your speech to a native speaker's version of the same topic. This will help you hear your own pronunciation and rhythm, and slowly, you'll start correcting yourself naturally. Now, let's see how all this connects to the IELTS test, especially the speaking and listening sections. IELTS speaking is not about fancy vocabulary or complicated grammar. It's about clear communication, natural flow, and confidence. And do you know what builds those 3 things? Listening. When you listen to natural English every day, you automatically pick up sentence structures, expressions, and tone. You start speaking like how you hear. So, if you listen to good English, you'll start speaking good English. That's why listening and speaking must grow together. Another key to thinking in English is visualization. When you listen, try to create a picture in your mind. For example, if you hear, "The woman is walking down the street holding a red umbrella," imagine it clearly. When your brain links words with pictures, understanding becomes faster and deeper. This is also very helpful in IELTS listening, where visualization helps you follow conversations about maps, locations, or processes. Now, let's talk about fluency versus accuracy. Many learners get confused between these two. Fluency means speaking smoothly, without long pauses. Accuracy means speaking correctly. In the beginning, focus on fluency first. Don't stop every time you make a grammar mistake. Just keep talking. Remember, even native speakers make small mistakes when they speak, but they don't stop. Once your fluency improves, accuracy will follow naturally through more listening and repetition. Let's try a small speaking exercise together. Imagine you're describing your favorite movie. Say it aloud. "My favorite movie is," and continue for 1 minute without stopping. Don't worry about mistakes. Just keep your words flowing. Then listen to yourself and see if your ideas were clear. You can also practice answering IELTS-style questions like, "What kind of movies do you like?" Or, "Do you prefer watching movies at home or in a cinema?" Practicing these simple answers while connecting them with listening models will prepare you perfectly for the test. Now, let's explore how to train your English thinking speed. When you hear something in English, try to respond instantly, even if it's just in your mind. For example, if you hear, "What did you have for breakfast?" Don't translate. Just think, "I had eggs and toast." You can do this with TV shows too. Pause a scene and imagine how you'd reply. The goal is to shorten the gap between listening and responding. Over time, this mental reflex becomes automatic. Another fun method is what I call mirror conversations. Stand in front of a mirror and talk as if you're in a real conversation. Smile, use expressions, and speak with emotion. This builds your confidence, body language, and pronunciation all at once. When you look confident, you sound confident, and IELTS examiners love that energy. Now, let's discuss intonation and emotion. Listening helps you understand how English speakers use their voice to express feelings. They don't just use words, they use tone. For example, when they're surprised, their pitch goes up. When they're serious, it goes down. So, when you listen to native speakers, pay attention to how their voice moves, the rise and fall, the speed and the pauses. Try to copy that when you speak. It makes your speech more alive and natural. Another powerful habit is story listening and retelling. Listen to a short story or news clip in English, then retell it in your own words. At first, you can use the same structure. Later, try summarizing it freely. This exercise builds listening comprehension, memory, and speaking flow all together. It's one of the best ways to improve your IELTS Part 2 and Part 3 speaking responses. And don't forget rhythm training. English has a natural rhythm, stressed and unstressed syllables. Try reading short sentences aloud and clapping to the beat. For example, I went to the store to buy some milk. This rhythm makes English sound smooth. The more you listen and copy this rhythm, the more natural your pronunciation becomes. Let's also talk about thinking flexibility. Sometimes in IELTS speaking, you'll be asked unexpected questions. If your brain is used to thinking in English, you'll respond faster. But if you always think in your native language first, you'll freeze. So, practice spontaneous thinking. Pick any random topic, like rainy days or books, and speak about it for 1 minute. This builds your ability to think creatively in English. Another helpful tip is language recycling. When you learn new expressions from listening, don't just write them in a notebook. Use them immediately. For example, if you hear the phrase, "I'm not really into sports," say it in your next self-talk session. Recycle phrases often. That's how they become part of your natural vocabulary. And remember, your goal is communication, not perfection. English is a tool for connection. When you can listen, think, and respond quickly, you can connect with people all around the world, and that's the true success of learning English. Before we finish this part, I want to leave you with a small daily challenge. Every day, spend 10 minutes combining these 3 skills. Listen to 1 minute of English audio, repeat it, then talk about what you heard in your own words. Just 10 minutes daily. You'll see unbelievable improvement in a few weeks. We're going to put everything together and build a complete English learning system that you can follow from home. Simple, practical, and powerful. You don't need expensive classes, fancy books, or teachers around the world. You just need the right structure and the right mindset. So, let's design your personal English system right now. First, I want you to understand something very important. Learning English is not just about what you do in one day. It's about what you do every day. It's a lifestyle, not a quick task. Imagine English like exercise. If you go to the gym once a month, you won't see results. But if you move your body a little every day, even just 20 minutes, you'll get stronger. The same thing happens with your brain. Every small moment you spend listening, reading, speaking, or thinking in English builds invisible progress inside you. That's why consistency is your superpower. So, how do we create a daily plan that actually works? Let's start with something simple. Divide your day into small learning moments instead of one long study session. For example, you can spend 10 minutes listening in the morning, 10 minutes reading or speaking in the afternoon, and another 10 minutes reviewing vocabulary at night. That's just 30 minutes total, but if you do it daily, it's more powerful than studying 3 hours once a week. Small steps every day beat big steps once in a while. Now, let's design your morning routine. The morning is the best time to train your brain because it's fresh and ready to learn. When you wake up, instead of scrolling social media, listen to a short English podcast or a conversation. Don't worry about understanding everything. Just let English enter your ears naturally. You can listen while brushing your teeth, making breakfast, or getting ready. This tells your brain, hey, English is part of my day. It builds a positive connection with the language. After listening, try repeating 1 or 2 sentences that caught your attention. That's your first micro practice of the day. Next, your afternoon session. This is when you can practice something active, like speaking or writing. Take what you listen to in the morning and talk about it. Say it in your own words. You can also write a short summary or share it with a friend. If you don't have anyone to talk to, record a voice message to yourself. The key idea is, don't just consume English, produce it. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Now, your evening routine. Before bed, review something you learned that day. It could be new words, expressions, or even one idea from a podcast. Write them down and read them aloud. This is important because your brain remembers better before sleep. When you review at night, your brain processes the information while you rest. So, the next morning, you'll remember it more clearly. If you're preparing for IELTS specifically, you can structure your week around the 4 main skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking, but still keep listening as your foundation. For example, Monday could be listening day, Tuesday reading day, Wednesday writing day, and Thursday speaking day. But even on other days, spend a few minutes listening.
Why?
Because listening keeps your brain in touch with real English sounds. It's like your daily warm-up for all other skills. Now, let's talk about resources, what to use, and how to use them effectively. You don't need to buy a lot of materials. There are thousands of free tools online. For IELTS listening, you can use official Cambridge IELTS practice tests, BBC Learning English, TED Talks, or even YouTube channels like this one. When you listen, make sure the audio is not too difficult. Start from your current level and move up slowly. If you start with something too advanced, you'll feel frustrated. Learning English is like climbing stairs, 1 step at a time. For vocabulary, use what I call the context method. Don't learn words alone. Learn them in sentences. For example, instead of memorizing environment, learn it like this: we should protect the environment. Then, use it in your own sentence. The environment in my city is improving. That's how you make vocabulary real. And for pronunciation, listen and repeat daily. Choose one English speaker whose voice you like, maybe from a podcast or a news channel, and imitate them for a few minutes each day. Focus on how their mouth moves, how they pause, and how they connect words. Over time, your pronunciation and accent will improve naturally. Now, let's discuss how to track your progress. Many learners give up because they don't see quick results. But progress in language learning is often invisible at first. You might feel stuck, but your brain is still learning behind the scenes. So, once a week, record yourself speaking about any topic and keep that file. After 1 month, listen to your old recording and compare. You'll be amazed. You'll hear how much more confident and fluent you've become. This simple method keeps you motivated. And speaking of motivation, let's talk about how to stay consistent, because learning English is not a one-day journey. There will be days when you feel tired or busy, or even discouraged. That's completely normal. Every learner feels that. The secret is not to quit. Even if you can't study for an hour, do 5 minutes. Listen to one paragraph or read one small article. The important thing is, don't break the chain. Every small effort counts. To stay inspired, connect English to things you love. If you love cooking, watch recipes in English. If you love travel, listen to travel podcasts. If you love music, learn the lyrics of English songs. This way, English doesn't feel like study. It feels like joy. You'll learn faster without even realizing it. Now, let's discuss how to combine IELTS preparation with general English improvement. Many learners make the mistake of focusing only on tests and forget the real language. But IELTS is just a reflection of your everyday English ability. If you train your listening, speaking, and reading skills in real contexts, your IELTS score will automatically rise. So, instead of just memorizing test patterns, learn through natural English exposure. When you listen to real-life audios, your brain becomes used to different accents, speeds, and question styles, and that's exactly what the exam tests. Let's also talk about mindset, because your attitude decides your progress more than your materials. Tell yourself, I can learn English. Say it out loud. It sounds simple, but it matters. Many people fail because they keep repeating, my English is bad, or I'm not good at listening. When you say that, your brain believes it. So change the message. Every time you study, say, I'm improving every day. Positive belief creates positive action. Another secret of successful learners is balance, balancing practice and relaxation. You can't study all the time. Give your brain breaks. Watch a movie, listen to music, or even take a walk and think about what you learned. When you relax, your brain organizes the information better. Now, let's make your home environment English-friendly. Put small notes on things around your house, like mirror, door, window. When you see those words daily, they stick in your memory. Change your phone or social media settings to English. Follow English pages, read captions, and comment in English. These small environmental changes make a huge difference. If you have friends learning English too, start a small English challenge group. For example, you can agree that each person records one short English message per day and shares it. Encourage each other, not judge. Learning with others keeps you accountable and makes it fun. Another effective way to strengthen your English system is to set clear goals. Instead of saying, I want to speak fluent English, make it specific and measurable. Say, I want to understand English podcasts without subtitles in 6 months, or I want to score Band 7 in IELTS listening by next summer. When your goal is clear, your mind stays focused. Now, what if you feel stuck or bored? That's normal too. Every learner hits a plateau, a period where you don't feel improvement. The solution is not to quit, but to change your methods. If you've been listening a lot, try speaking more. If you've been studying grammar, watch English shows instead. Changing your activity refreshes your motivation. Another beautiful part of learning English is the opportunity to connect with the world. When you understand and speak English, you can learn from people everywhere, new ideas, cultures, and experiences. English opens doors, not just to exams, but to life itself. It helps you express who you are and understand others deeply. Now, before we finish this full guide, I want to share a personal message with you. If you're watching this, it means you care about your growth. Maybe you've struggled before, maybe you've failed, maybe people told you it's too hard. But I want you to know you are capable. You are enough. Every time you listen, speak, or practice, you're getting better, even if you don't see it yet. So never give up. English is not just a language. It's a bridge to confidence, freedom, and opportunity. From today, promise yourself one thing. You will keep going. Even slowly, even quietly, but you'll keep moving forward. Listen daily, speak freely, think in English, and make it part of who you are. Don't wait for the perfect time. This is your perfect time. You already have everything you need, your mind, your motivation, and your dream. And I, Jenny, will always be here with you on English Lab, helping you every step of the way. So, if you found this guide helpful, please subscribe, share it with your friends, and keep learning with me. Together, we'll make English easy, enjoyable, and natural for you. Remember, small steps, every day, create big success. Believe in yourself, practice consistently, and soon you'll look back and realize you've become the confident English speaker you always dreamed to be. Thank you for spending this time with me. You're not just a viewer. You're a learner with a vision, and I'm so proud of you. I'll see you in the next lesson here on English Lab, where we'll keep growing one word at a time. Until then, keep listening, keep learning, and keep shining.